Welcome back, kiddos.
Hey, hey, hey.
So, we received a few emails this week, but we wanted to come back to our friend Reese, who sent another email to us and kind of gave a really interesting analogy for us to explore.
That's right. So Reese lives here in New York, and they emailed us again. Hey, Andrew and Kata. First of all, thanks again for your help in picking an NFL team. Remember me from a few weeks ago?
Yep.
We do. I've been watching a lot of the teams you recommended, and I think I'm becoming a Cowboys fan. Oh, good for them.
No.
Then they said, sad yeehaw, we'll get him next time. Second, I didn't really have an opinion on the pass interference thing, but listening to your episode last week made me think about it more. Then I saw this happen in the Saints-Jaguars game, and wow, did it waste a lot of time and make a ton of people unhappy. It gave a lot of fans false hope that the Saints were going to get the ball, but then it was just business as usual. Anyway, it made me think about the MTA. In New York City, the subway system has a lot of problems, and overcrowding is a big one. But someone thought it would be a good idea to spend money on the yellow arrows in the doorways of the subway cars. These arrows are supposed to tell you to move in and let more people on. Some people don't do that, but most of them already do. So why the yellow arrows? It's just creating this illusion that New York City is doing anything about the subway problem. It's not addressing the real issue. The PI reviewing power feels kind of like that. The NFL has a lot of problems, but this gives the illusion that they're doing something. Maybe 1 out of 100 people will look at those arrows and move in. Maybe 1 out of 100 pass interference calls will be overturned. But mostly, people are angrier at the MTA and the NFL because they've revealed how out of touch they are with what people want by making a big deal out of a missed mark. Thanks for letting me ramble. You guys are the best. Reese.
Reese, we really appreciate this email, and you're right. It's the whole system is the NFL just trying to make fixes that they know that they need to make fixes on, but they're not doing it in the right way.
Right.
And I mean, it's a really strange phenomenon, this calling for PI that we've been seeing over the past few weeks, and we both hate it. We know that we hate it.
That's right. I was reading an article before the show where we actually had some stats from this season. There have been 21 pass interference calls challenged, and only one of them has been overturned. I think I said Bruce Arians last week, and I think it was right. But yeah, it's asking people to change subjective calls, and I feel like we were talking about this before the show, that we feel like the NFL is trying to tell these coaches to be like, hey, don't challenge this because you know how this is going to turn out. You get this. We know that this rule was in place to overturn the exact thing that determined the NFC Championship game last year. It's specifically for that, not on a maybe pass interference thing that happens in Week 5. It's something that's egregious, that's blatant, that's missed, that's obvious.
Right.
That's why this rule was put in place.
Right.
And I don't know. I feel like this rule's on a 1-year trial basis, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if coaches keep calling this, keep challenging this, it's not going to be around for long.
No, not at all.
Because the coaches are going to want it to leave.
I'm starting to wonder, too. I think about, the main catalyst for this new opportunity being the Saints-Rams game of last year that determined the Super Bowl. And I'm wondering if this rule had been around, if that call even would have been overturned.
If the rule had been around?
If they had been able to call pass interference...
Or challenge pass interference.
Or challenge pass interference during that game, would that challenge have gone through?
Yes, I think it would have.
See, looking at these stats, I just don't know.
These stats, I mean, how many of these calls that have gone through, how many of these calls that have happened this season been as egregious and blatantly missed as that one from last January?
Of course not. No.
Then that's the point. Yes.
Right.
It's something that the NFL literally came out and said, yeah, we missed that call. Sorry about that.
Right.
If this rule were in place back in January, the Saints would have been in the Super Bowl, not the Rams. Sorry.
Okay.
But that's how I look at it.
Look, if you genuinely believe that, fine. I obviously would hope that it would have been, and it would have made this rule or this new opportunity to challenge so landmark, but just looking at the way that officiants have been treating these situations, it's really, again, just a waste of time. And I have very little faith that it will ever amount to being something that's like one day we turn around and we're like, you see, this is why this is important. You know what I mean?
Right.
I've lost hope. I've lost faith.
No, just hope that the NFL does the right thing.
Sure.
Reese makes a good point, and I can kind of see it in both ways too. Like the NFL might be looking at a problem, but they might be looking at a problem and trying to fix the wrong thing, kind of like the MTA, you know.
Much like the MTA.
There are many other things that the MTA could fix, but it's some kind of step. I just wish that they would spend it on other things, because livelihood and sports games are two totally different things that bear totally different weights.
Right.
In my opinion.
No, absolutely. 100%.
I know we're a sports podcast, but God forbid we actually talk about real life on this show.
Seriously.
Yeah. One hopes that the NFL is trying to move in the right direction with this thing.
Right.
So far it hasn't worked.
Right.
But if there's some master plan, then, I'm okay with it. If we move towards more like a once per season, or maybe you only get to call it in the playoffs, or it's kind of subtly communicated to the coaches that, hey, you really only need this for something that's egregious and that's blatantly missed.
Right.
But we haven't seen that yet so far.
No, we haven't. And
because the first instance in which this rule pays off and there's an egregious call that's missed, then coaches are finally going to understand.
Right.
I think so.
Yeah, I think, and that's also an educational issue. I mean, it seems that coaches just don't really understand why this is here. And the coaches are just as much, if not more, to blame than the officiants. So it's a difficult thing.
Yeah.
Can I teach some history?
You sure can.
All right.
What's your history lesson?
So ESPN put out a little thingy on their Instagram last week on October 11th as kind of an on this day. And I wanted to talk about it. So on October 11th, 1992, Deion Sanders played for the Falcons in a 1 p.m. game starting against the Dolphins in Miami.
Prime time.
After the game, Sanders took a charter flight to Pittsburgh for the Braves game, Game 5, NLCS matchup against the Pirates.
Have you seen the documentary on this, the 30 for 30?
No, I actually haven't.
Excellent.
Though Sanders never got to play in that game, he became the first player to suit up for an NFL and MLB game on the same day.
This is wild.
I think it's pretty fucking wild.
I love that. When you've got two sport athletes who are like actually, committal to both teams. I mean, the documentary goes on to say that there was some tension between him and the Braves.
Right.
Because he had made a verbal commitment to the Braves, even though, he was a better football player. He could have been in the Hall of Fame for both football and baseball if he had continued to play baseball for long enough.
I think about even just watching the Yankees-Astros series. I was sitting on the couch talking to Michael, and I'm watching Aaron Judge at the bat, and I'm just like, damn, I just really want him as my starting tight end on my fantasy team. Like, I just look at this man, and I'm like, wow. And apparently, I guess he played quarterback. So
he's a tall boy.
Right, but even so, I mean, there are so many athletes who come out, and Kyler Murray, who have to choose a sport because they could play professionally in multiple. And it's a little bit less common now. Like, we don't see it happening now because just the demands, particularly those brought on by, media rooms and everything. I mean, you can't just pick up and go after a game.
That's right.
But I don't know. I think it's a really unique thing, and go Deion Sanders.
It kind of reminds me of this instance is kind of the same thing in auto racing as well. They have this thing called double duty, which is kind of fun. So over Memorial Day weekend, you're familiar with the Indianapolis 500, right?
Yes, of course.
Great. Okay, so the Indy 500 is hosted by IndyCar, and the cars are shaped differently. They have the giant wheels, and the helmets are exposed. There's like no windshield, and then there's a spoiler in the back. So the Indy 500 takes place over Memorial Day weekend during the day. That night, NASCAR has an event called the Coca-Cola 600, which is the longest race on the calendar, and that takes place at night. So it's the longest race, and it takes place at night, which is pretty cool. They're both on the same day. So Tony Stewart in 2001 did both.
Okay.
So there have been a couple of attempts at this, but Tony Stewart's was the most successful. So he went into Indy, and he was like a factor in the race all day. He led 13 laps. He actually finished 6th. So Stewart gets, after the race, gets out of his car. There was even, backing up. There was even like a little minimal rain delay during the race.
Oh, wow.
So like you figure that time constraints have to be a thing. The Indianapolis 500 takes place in Indianapolis. The Coca-Cola 600 takes place in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Oh, wow.
So, which is also a considerable distance, right?
Yes,
so
absolutely.
Right. So Sanders gets out of his car, gets into a helicopter on the infield, goes to the airport, takes a plane from Indy to Raleigh, is hooked up to an IV all the way there, lands in Raleigh, because, I mean, you lose all this, like, these body fluids in this weight
sure, yeah.
during a NASCAR race. It's crazy.
Wow. I didn't even think about that part, yeah.
I think anybody who thinks that auto racers aren't athletes need to take a closer look at what they have to go through.
Totally.
So he lands in Raleigh, takes a helicopter from Raleigh to Charlotte Motor Speedway. He's missed the driver's meeting, so he has to start in last place. He finished 3rd.
Wow. Wow.
Crazy pants.
Crazy pants. God, I wouldn't do that.
These guys, for their
couldn't do
love of
that.
their sports.
Yeah.
It's insane.
It's insane. It really is.
Yeah.
But it's very exciting. We love sports too. We're
We
just
do.
not athletes. Of course, I'm going to attempt to be an athlete this weekend
You are, yes.
because I lost a bet.
You sure did.
I lost our first bet of the year.
Yeah, you ever seen professional eaters do what they have to do? Your body's going to have to go through that same kind of thing.
Damn it.
Yeah, we're going to play a game of Fill Your Guts or Spill Your Guts because Kata lost the bet to me. The Patriots won by 21. They were favored by 17, which is good for me. So, yeah, I'm going to rip you apart during this thing.
I'm
there
so
will be
not
no
excited.
escape.
Check our Instagram live stream this weekend. We'll update you guys on the exact day and time, and I will be humiliated. It's going to suck.
Yeah, keep a lookout for that. So that'll be all over our social media.
Yeah. Let's just take a second to take a look ahead here. What's your game of the week?
My game of the week is the Saints playing against the Bears.
Okay.
So since Teddy Bridgewater came in, he's 4-0, which I did not expect for a guy that wears 2 gloves as a quarterback. And he's playing against a very, very good Bears defense. The Bears, on the other hand, have struggled offensively. And I think this is going to be a very interesting matchup to see if Bridgewater can overcome his toughest test yet in what is one of his final weeks before Drew Brees returns. Because there's been videos of him throwing footballs at practice.
You want to say that again?
Yeah, I do. It's going to be one of his final weeks before Drew Brees comes back. Because I don't know if you've seen the videos of him throwing footballs at practice. But it'll be fun. It's one of the games of the week on CBS. It's going to be a late afternoon game.
Mm-hmm.
I think that one will be fun. It's in Chicago, so we'll see how Bridgewater can handle the crowd noise in the cold. Although, again, with the 2 gloves, he should be fine. How about you? You got a game of the week this week?
Yeah, at the same time. Ravens-Seahawks is going to be a really interesting matchup with 2 elite, mobile-ish quarterbacks. Ish being the Russell Wilson one, obviously, because Lamar is a nightmare.
Lamar doing Lamar things, 30 points in fantasy this week.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But I think that's going to be a really, really interesting matchup. But, of course, my real game of the week is Cardinals and Giants because the Giants have their full team back now. The Cardinals are...
1 week too late.
Yeah, the Cardinals are... Well, stop. The Cardinals are the Cardinals, but it'll be interesting to kind of see the Giants get their footing back once again. Mm-hmm. And I think that will give us a really good look ahead at the rest of the Giants' schedule based on how far they can blow the Cardinals out of the water.
I'm excited to see how tall Tom Brady looks in real life.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm going to Monday Night Football next week.
You're going to have so much fun. And I think it's going to be, honestly, though, it's, we can project that the Patriots are going to win this game. But I don't know if it's going to be like a blowout. I mean, the Jets really performed on Sunday this past week with Sam Darnold back.
They did.
They worked you could tell they were working really, really hard.
The return of Mono Boy.
Oh, God.
That's
Hopefully
right.
he learned how to kiss better.
Maybe so. Or learn which people to kiss.
Has anyone checked in on his girlfriend lately?
Does he have a girlfriend?
I don't know. I'm assuming.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I hope he's okay. Good for you, Mono Boy.
But
back.
thank you guys so much for watching our show.
Yeah, we're going to wrap it up here.
Yeah, thank you so much for listening. And we're really excited for this upcoming week in the NFL. Again, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns you'd like for us to answer, please shoot us an email at andrewandkata@gmail.com.
And don't forget to follow all of our social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and lots of other things using the handle at UFR Podcast. You can find our podcast wherever you find them. You can find them wherever you find them.
Wherever you find
Wherever
them.
you find them.
Except for Spotify.
Except for Spotify. I'm not that cool yet. We need to put that on a t-shirt.
I know, seriously.
But just like except for Spotify.
But the second that we order those t-shirts, we're going to get on Spotify.
Of course we are.
So
absolutely.
That's how that works.
Yes, of course.
Anyways, thank you guys so much for chilling with us for a little bit. And good luck. Set your lineups. We'll see you next week.
See you next week. I'm Andrew.
I'm Kata.
Bye.